Lo siento, pero yo hablo un poco de español y entiendo un poco de español. Pero quisiera aprender mucho español, entonces tengo que practicar mucho, todos los días, todos los días. Muy importante, muy importante. Nosotras tenemos que trabajar juntas. Otra vez. Nosotras tenemos que trabajar juntas, por favor. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Chief, no. I'm right over here. This gentleman, I missed this gentleman a little while ago. Just one more question for you. Okay.
Specifically for Northside and Diamond Hill, in your opinion and statistically, the violence and the gun violence, is it higher or lower than the rest of the city? And why do you think it is or isn't? And do you think you can make it better, or is it?
That's a great question, actually. And here's the truth of the matter. There are some neighborhoods where you see less. There are some neighborhoods where you see more. And my belief is there's empirical data, there's research that shows this. Wherever you find neighborhoods with more violence, it's not because there are bad people who live there. That's not what it's about. It's because of systemic issues that oftentimes for generations have been going on in those neighborhoods that have contributed to the violence. We're talking about food deserts. We're talking about potentially low-performing schools. We're talking about lack of resources, lack of jobs, lack of job training. If you go to any area in any city across the country and you see those issues endemically for generations, what do you think is going to happen? People are desperate. People have no hope and think no one cares, like the Federal Police Department. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to see the issues that you were talking about right there. And are we making things better? I sure hope so. But I can guarantee you, sir, guarantee everyone else here, that is a top priority for us. And one of the fundamental jobs of any police agency is making communities safe. We can't arrest our way out of the problem. Some people need to go to jail, just the way it is. But whatever we can do to work with other agencies to provide resources to the citizens in those areas, that's when we're really going to see positive lasting change.
Thank you very much. I want to give a big hand to the Fort Worth Police Department for coming out here. One of the wonderful things about our Chorizo Menudo community breakfast is we do our best to live up to the standard of community. Like the chief said, we might not always disagree, but we can't shut our back on the dialogue. And thank you all for coming and asking the tough questions, for standing up, sir, for your neighborhood. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And you, sir, thank you so much. What's also interesting about today's meeting is not only are the police department here engaging with citizens, but we have a group of candidates that some of these folks that you're going to hear from next, they're going to be working hand in hand with the chief and Deputy Chief Criado and Officer Segura. Good to see you, sir. So this is very unique because if they can stick around, they're going to hear some of the ideas of these candidates. Candidates for city council, candidates for mayor. So that's one of the things that makes me so happy that everyone can be here and take part in this, because this is history. We're making history today. Because within the first 3 months of a new police chief in Fort Worth, they were here. And I want to say thank you for that. I appreciate that. Also, to my left over here, snuck in, he's been at 3 different tables so far, the national president of LULAC, to make all this possible, Mr. Garcia. And thank you. And also, we have a Fort Worth ISD board trustee, Miss Ashley Foz. She's right over there. Also, if you're feeling extremely tejano, right here to my left, Frank the Iron Man Fierro. He's extremely tejano. Check out his website. I have his card. Come see me. I'll get you that website. He's got a lot of good things going on. And also my good, very good friend, is the Vice President of Development and Engagement at One Safe Place, Mr. Felipe Gutierrez. If you are not aware of One Safe Place, it is, and unfortunately I had to use the word boutique, but if you are experiencing domestic violence, they will open up their doors to you. I've called them for personal reasons. They will open up their door for you, no questions asked, and give you the help you need, the resources to feed your child, to get clothes on your back, to get you reestablished, and to get you away from the danger that is haunting you. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the Fort Worth Police Department. I hope you can stick around to eat. I hope you can stick around to listen, and I hope to see you again in this type of environment. So I appreciate it. Have a good one. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to go into the candidate portion of our community breakfast. And what I'm going to ask is, we're going to give the candidates 6 minutes to speak. We're going to give the candidates 6 minutes to speak. I will be the timer, and on the 5th minute, going to that last minute, I'll let the speaker know that they have 1 minute remaining. Now, this is not a this is not a debate, so we will take 2 questions from the audience, and that will be that speaker's time. And the next speaker will come, they will get their 5 minutes, I will give the warning at 1 minute, and then they can answer 2 questions also. So this is not a debate. We're not going to go back and forth on how they answer the questions that you want to hear. If I could please get candidate Ann Zeta, who is currently Fort Worth City Council member. If she can come right up here. We're going to have the Honorable Deborah Peoples to go up first. She has another engagement she has to get to. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and then I'll give you the 1 minute marker. Thank you.
Okay, I told him I don't need 5 minutes. I am home. Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. I have been to this forum so many times that you all are family. I see Paula. I see Domingo. I see Rosalinda in the back. This is my family. And I could have not said it better than Chief knows about why I am running. I have been to this forum so many times, family, and the same issues that you keep raising, they just keep happening. Nothing ever changes. Carlos needs help. He needs someone with a backbone that's going to stand at City Hall and say, our neighborhoods matter. Our issues matter. Amen. We matter. And I am the candidate to do that. I am tired of coming here 2 or 3 times a year and the same issues about crime and neglect and food deserts keep coming up. Until we start getting equitable treatment for all of our neighborhoods, nothing is going to change. I am running for mayor because we deserve better. I am so tired of this. And so, you all know me. You know what I do. Araceli, you know that I have never stopped fighting for communities of color. I will never stop fighting for communities of color. And we are going to change the face of Fort Worth. I tell everyone, we are a minority-majority city. It's time. Our communities here on the north side and the south side and the east side should not be suffering from neglect. My name is Deborah Peoples, and I am running for mayor because I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'll answer questions. No questions?
Yes. I'm sorry. I was back here. Mr. Sines has a question right
Yes.
over here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Deborah, just one question. I wanted to ask the question to the police chief, and he answered it pretty quick. ¿Hablas español?
Un poquito, hablar español un poquito, pero yo, I need to learn more.
Sí.
Okay, sí.
Más quiero saber que, I just wanted to know that in a city, that we are the majority.
No, you're the majority.
Yeah, we're the
There
majority.
are more citizens of Latin descent in Fort Worth than any other community.
Again, my question is, if a person is seeking position,
Yeah.
a political position in Fort Worth, Texas, I think they should learn how to speak Spanish.
Absolutely, Bill, I am with you.
Gracias.
And so, you know, hablar español, pero it's not good, and so I need to get better, absolutely.
But at least un poquito.
Yes, see, and let me tell you why this is important, and I agree with Leo, and I grew up in Odessa, Texas, and I will butcher the language, but Carlos and everybody knows I will try. But we are the only nation in the world that says you have to just speak one language. The only nation. We are, our closest neighbor is Mexico. If we are being good citizens of the world, Leo, and I am with you, we need to learn to speak another language, and for us, that language should be Spanish. So I agree.
Last minute.
Oh, 1 minute? I'm through. I don't need, unless you all have questions.
Okay, we got one question there in that last minute.
Well, it's more like an offer.
Okay.
I understand that he believes that speaking Spanish is important, but you
Yes.
have a lot of us that will translate for you here.
Oh, thank you. But you're right. And Aristotle knows I will butcher it, but I will try, and I am committed to speaking the language. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Deborah Peters, candidate for mayor. Our next speaker, candidate for mayor, she was with us last week and gave a very, very wonderful talk to all of us. She's here again. I welcome City Council member Ann Zeta.
Good morning, everyone. So I wasn't sure I was going to get to speak today because I was here last month and I got to speak then. So I wanted to leave time for the candidates that weren't able to speak last time. But I am Ann Zeta. I currently serve on the Fort Worth City Council representing District 9. And I have done so since 2014 when I ran in a special election, which was a crowded field of 6. And as you all know, that there are 10 candidates in the mayor's race, so 6 not so crowded. I was successful in that, and I went on to serve for 2 terms after that. I was unopposed in 2015 after being successful in that crowded race, and then ran again in 17 with an opponent, and then ran again in 19 without an opponent. And I have served well in District 9. At a forum recently, several examples were given by other candidates for work that has been done in District 9, so I was very glad to be able to claim a part of that. I tend not to want to take credit for things that were done by a group, and there's a lot of work that goes into the representation that we do in our various districts that is a group effort, and it is not the council member that needs to take credit for all of that. For those of you who don't know me, my background is in city planning. So I believe that I bring a unique background and training. All of my career, I've worked at making cities run efficiently and effectively. So I have the expertise and knowledge to work with the city staff in our city manager form of government. But I also come from service in my community. I have never lived in a community where I was not involved and engaged in that community. I came up through being a leader in the neighborhoods that I live in. And when I came onto the council, one of my main goals was to make sure that all of the neighborhoods in the district that I represent had representation and were heard. And that doesn't mean making people come to city council or come to me at a forum that I put together. It means being out in the community so that I am meeting people where they are and not forcing them to come and communicate with me in a way that doesn't add to their lives. People are busy with their lives. They don't have time to come down to city council and talk for 3 minutes and then not even be heard, which is what happens many, many times when people come to council and speak. So I'm out in the community, making sure that citizens are engaged in the communities that they are in, and we are being responsive to them. The City of Fort Worth has been a very squeaky wheel gets the grease delivery system, and that is not equitable. When you have to come and tell people what is the problem, then you're not getting those resources distributed equitably throughout the city. In the last 7 years that I've been on council, we have made some efforts to change that. And we are now looking at things that data-driven and more equitably, and that has brought some funding to some neighborhoods that have systemically been underserved. And those improvements need to be stepped up, because we're not going to catch up and make the improvements that need to be made in those communities at the rate that we're going now. Earlier today, there were some references made to nuisance properties and not getting responses. And I know that that is very, very frustrating. And I'm very familiar in District 9 with some of those nuisance properties where they have applied that Chapter 125 nuisance, where they bring code and legal and police all together and are able to make some of those changes that you're asking for when a property has a problem ongoing over and over and over again. But it is a very tricky process, because if it didn't happen like on that property, then it doesn't count as an issue against that property. So there are some sneaky things that happen that make it very difficult to carry that out, but we've had success in some District 9 neighborhoods with properties that have caused ongoing problems like that. But again, it can't be the citizens' responsibility to stay on top of that. It has to be something that the city is tracking, that legal and code and police are keeping up with in order to make sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks and it doesn't continue to be a burden on the citizen that is experiencing that frustration in their neighborhood. Having NPOs is a fabulous way to serve our neighborhoods, but if you're having an NPO that does a good job in one neighborhood and in another neighborhood not doing such a good job, that leads to the inequities that I was just discussing. So I believe that I have a great background in training just from my education and the service that I've provided thus far. I've served in District 9 and brought many of the things that I believe need to be brought to the entire community of Fort Worth. And as mayor, I will bring all of that equity to all of the neighborhoods of Fort Worth, and it won't be on the backs of you to stay on top of things. I will make sure that the departments of the city are being responsive to all of the neighborhoods, and I will be responsive to all of the neighborhoods as well. I don't know where I am on time. Okay, so if I was here last month, many of you were here. I'm glad to be here again, and if there are any other questions that you have for me, I would love to.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Can I get everybody to, let's focus on the speaker. Let's focus on the speaker. Please. Thank you.
I'm ready to answer any questions that people might have.
Okay. Great. Who's got a question?
There's a question over there.
Good morning, good morning. So I just have a question as it relates to saying that you want to Ms. Aiden, you become mayor of Fort Worth. I know that you've worked in District 9 and you have a lot of history as it relates to your background with education and planning and development. Are you also on the zoning board, or have you ever participated on the zoning board?
I served on the zoning commission for 6 years before I ran for council.
So as of that, with that being said, on February the 9th, we actually participated in the event that was at the city council regarding a zoning information situation that was happening at 4900 Park in Henderson over in the Echo Heights district. And that actually won 9-0. And so when I asked the board how did they participate about coming out to view the information, everything was done via Google Earth. So no one took the time to come out and talk to the participants or the homeowners or the residents in the community, but you say you're affiliated with their board. Have you ever
No,
went over?
I'm on the city council now, so I'm not on the zoning commission now.
But in the midst of that, with that being a situation with black and brown that's there in that community, have you thought about going over there since you were there when the information happened, when we brought it? Did you take the time to go walk over the community yourself, just to get familiar with it?
No, when I served on the zoning commission, I absolutely visited properties ahead of making any decisions on the zoning commission. I don't just use Google Maps to do research on zoning. I always go back and watch everything that happened at the zoning commission before it comes to the city council. When I served on the zoning commission, I physically visited sites that had any kind of controversy to them, if there was not a straightforward staff report, or if there was people communicating and letting me know that there was a concern. And I do that on the city council as well, and that is something that I absolutely will continue to do.
So we can look forward to ready for more?
I can't understand.
So we can look forward to ready for more from the mayor?
Absolutely. I'm so nerded out on the zoning part of things, it will be difficult for me not to do everything that I've always done as a zoning commissioner, as a city council member. So as mayor, I will definitely be visiting sites and be very familiar with any zoning changes and requests that come before me.
We have a question over here, okay? Let me go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment. Thank you, Councilwoman Zeta. I just wanted to remind this community, as we said earlier, that Latinos make up 36.6% of the city of Fort Worth, and I want to remind that there were several council members that stood with the immigrant community in 2017 against the bill SB4. And that was one of the council members was Councilwoman Zeta. She stood with the immigrant community, as long as also with Councilman Carlos Flores. So that was very important. That was a fight that we took to City Hall, and that was a big fight for the immigrant community. If y'all don't know about the law, it was the Show Me Your Papers law that's still with the police department. So I just want to remind people that there were several council members that stood with the Latino community, with the immigrant community, and one of them was Councilwoman Zeta, along with Councilman Flores that's here as well.
In addition, even our law enforcement stood up and said that that was not something that was going to continue to keep our community safe. So there were multiple people that were supportive of joining that lawsuit, and it's very unfortunate that we did not.
All right. I'm a truck driver. You got apartment complexes going everywhere. You coming down 35, it's packed. You do a reroute. I'm gonna go from 35, you reroute down to Hemp Hill. Hemp Hill is now a one-way street. You got moms, dads going to school, trying to take their kids, and I mean, it's a waste of space. Just wasted. Why not make it a 2-lane? Why put it into a bike lane? You want to ride your bike, go to Trinity Park. But
I will explain. I can answer the question.
Yes.
Okay. People died on Hemp Hill Street. There are children that live on one side of Hemp Hill Street and go to school on the other side of Hemp Hill Street. The communities around Hemp Hill and the business owners along Hemp Hill years ago started advocating for safety on Hemp Hill. That was not a city-driven initiative. That was a community-driven initiative. People were asking for that street to be safe. Literally, in the time that I've been in office, 3 people have died on that street. Pedestrians hit by cars. So that was the traffic calming effort. Having a center turn lane moves just as much traffic. It just does it in a slower and safer way. And so if there are people who still continue to drive in an unsafe way, which is very unfortunate, and I do my best to try to change those behaviors, but design of street is very important to making streets safer, and streets that used to have businesses on them that flourished and were successful are streets where people are not just driving through at a high rate of speed. They're places where people go to frequent those businesses. And having those types of changes along that street leads to better economic development for the businesses along that street as well. So those are the changes that we made there. One lane each direction with a center turn lane travels just as much traffic, can carry just as much traffic, it just does it at a slower rate of speed so that we're not risking people's lives that are going through that area, walking or biking or other ways that they frequent that street.
We got one more question. No, cancel that. One more question right over here. Okay, that was not a question. That was a directive for me.
To wrap it up.
You're fine. Do we have?
I will say that the issue on Hemp Hill was an absolute example of the type of engagement that I think needs to happen when changes are made in the community and decisions are made about what improvements come to a community. It literally had the involvement of every single neighborhood association along that corridor, and that's the type of change that needs to happen in this city. When things are proposed in a neighborhood, the people that live in that neighborhood need to be a part of that decision-making process, and then all of the efforts that go into deciding what improvements come to that neighborhood. That's been a great example with the funding that we have provided to Stop 6, to Ash Crescent, to Northside, to Rosemont in this last go-round, and coming up the next one in Como, where we talk to the citizens and ask them what it is they would like to see those dollars go towards to improve their community. People living in the community are closest to the issues that they face every day. It's not our job to come in and tell you what you need for your community to make your community a better place to live, work, and play. It's up to us to be there to listen and bring forward the initiatives that respond to the issues that you bring to us.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Councilwoman Nancy, your candidate for mayor. Okay, this next guest speaker is a candidate. Okay, switch that. Okay. Okay, it's a little quick switch right there. Our next speaker is a candidate right here in Fort Worth. She is running for Fort Worth District 4. Let me introduce you to Tara Wilson.
Buenos días, ¿cómo están? Yo me llamo Tara Wilson. Soy enfermera, una madre, y soy la única latina ahora que está postulando para el Consejo Municipal de Fort Worth. I'm born and raised in Waco, Texas. I moved here 4 years ago. My family looks like every one of you. Son trapeadores, trabajadores, y lo todo. They don't know anything about politics. They're trying to figure out if I'm going crazy. Está loca. Okay? 2 years ago when I found myself down at City Hall, this is what started my run. Norma just talked about SB4. That vote failed by 5-4, and the person that's in this seat right now voted against it. Had I been sitting on city council, it would have passed. Yeah.